Most people think of indoor plants as a hobby, something you water on weekends. What they do not realize is that the same plants filling the supplement industry, the clean beauty market, and the specialty food supply chain grow perfectly in containers and that domestic supply of almost all of them is almost non-existent. Today, I am walking you through 20 of them. Plants with real commercial demand, documented price points, and markets actively looking for domestic producers right now. Starting with the one where 90% of what is sold in American restaurants is not actually the real thing, creating a supply gap so large that authentic domestic growers can name their price. Stick around because number 3 sells for up to $5,000 per pound, from a container on a sunny windowsill. And number 8 is harvestable in 7 to 14 days from seed, the fastest return on investment of any plant on this list. Number 1. Wasabi. Wasabia japonica, selling for $100 to $160 per pound fresh, with approximately 90% of what is sold as wasabi in American restaurants and grocery stores being an imitation product made from horseradish, mustard, and green food coloring, creating extraordinary demand for authentic domestic producers that the current supply chain cannot meet. The wasabi served in most American sushi restaurants is not wasabi. It is a green-colored paste made from horseradish, mustard, and artificial coloring that mimics the appearance and approximate heat of the real plant. Real Wasabia japonica, the rhizome that produces genuine wasabi with its distinctive complex flavor that develops and fades within minutes, is almost entirely imported from Japan, New Zealand, and a handful of specialty farms. The domestic supply is so inadequate that authentic wasabi commands prices of $100 to $160 per pound, and the restaurants, specialty grocers, and high-end food producers who want the real thing frequently cannot source enough of it. Wasabi grows in conditions that are unusual for a food crop. It prefers shade, high humidity, cool temperatures, and consistently moist growing medium. These are conditions that are actually easier to replicate indoors than outdoors in most American climates. Containers with controlled moisture, indirect light, and stable cool temperatures produce wasabi rhizomes in 18 to 24 months. The challenge of growing wasabi is precisely what keeps domestic supply low and prices high. The grower who solves the growing challenge gains access to a market where authentic supply is so scarce that buyers will come to them. Number 2 requires a greenhouse or a bright indoor space with a climbing support structure. It takes patience. 18 months to first harvest. But when that first harvest comes, you are holding the second most expensive spice in the world, grown on your own property, in a market where domestic production is so rare that buyers will pay whatever it takes to get it. Number 2. Vanilla orchid, Vanilla planifolia, producing the second most expensive spice in the world, at $300 to $600 per pound for cured beans. An orchid that grows as a climbing vine in indoor greenhouse conditions, hand-pollinated to produce the pods that the craft food and artisan baking market cannot source in sufficient domestic quantities. Vanilla is the second most expensive spice in the world after saffron, and the reason for its price is not rarity of the plant itself, but rarity of the conditions required for production and the labor of hand pollination. Vanilla planifolia is a climbing orchid that in the wild is pollinated by a specific bee found only in Mexico. Commercial vanilla production requires hand pollination of each individual flower, which lasts for only a single day. This labor intensity is the primary reason most vanilla is grown in Madagascar, Tahiti, and Indonesia by low-wage agricultural labor. And it is also the reason that domestic American vanilla production, despite growing demand from the craft food industry for locally sourced artisan ingredients, is almost non-existent. The plant itself grows readily in indoor conditions. A bright greenhouse or a well-lit indoor space with a climbing trellis, temperatures between 60 and 90 degrees, and adequate humidity. Hand pollination, once learned, takes minutes per flower. The curing process, which develops the characteristic vanilla flavor from the initially odorless green pods, takes 3 to 6 months. The craft baking market, artisan food producers, high-end pastry chefs, and specialty retailers who want domestic, traceable artisan vanilla are actively searching for producers. The supply simply does not exist yet at the domestic level. Number 3. Saffron, Crocus sativus, selling for $1,000 to $5,000 per pound of dried threads, grown from bulbs that can be planted in containers on a sunny windowsill or in a grow light setup, with virtually no domestic commercial supply, despite the United States being the world's largest consumer of saffron. Saffron is the most expensive spice in the world by weight, and the reason is purely labor. Each Crocus sativus flower produces 3 stigmas, which must be hand-harvested within hours of the flower opening. It takes approximately 70,000 flowers to produce 1 pound of dried saffron. The price, $1,000 to $5,000 per pound depending on grade and origin, reflects that labor cost. What most people do not know is that the plant itself is extremely manageable in container conditions. Crocus sativus bulbs are planted in fall, flower in late October through November, and then go dormant until the following year. They multiply naturally underground, meaning each bulb you plant this year produces multiple bulbs for next year's harvest. A container of 30 bulbs on a sunny windowsill or undergrow lights produces harvestable saffron threads in its first year and expands its production automatically every subsequent year. The United States imports virtually all of its saffron from Iran, Spain, and Kashmir. Domestic production is so close to zero that specialty food buyers, restaurant groups, and saffron distributors actively seek American-grown product for its traceability and freshness. The barrier to entry is the patience to establish the bulb colony and the attention to harvest at exactly the right moment. The reward is a crop that sells for thousands of dollars per pound from a container that fits on a shelf. Number 4. Microgreens, harvested 7 to 14 days from seeding, selling for $25 to $50 per pound to restaurants, farmers markets, and specialty grocers, with zero need for soil amendments, pest management, or seasonal timing. The fastest return on investment of any plant on this list. Microgreens are the seedling stage of herbs and vegetables harvested immediately after the first true leaves develop. They are not a plant species. They are a harvesting method applied to sunflower, pea, radish, broccoli, amaranth, basil, cilantro, and dozens of other species. What makes microgreens extraordinary as an indoor commercial crop is the timeline. Seed to harvest in 7 to 14 days depending on the species. No waiting for roots to develop, no waiting for the plant to mature, no seasonal dependency. A single tray measuring 10 by 20 inches produces approximately 8 to 12 ounces of harvestable microgreens. At $25 to $50 per pound, a single tray generates $8 to $20 in revenue in under 2 weeks. Stagger trays weekly, and the operation produces continuous harvest on a schedule that can be adjusted to match demand. Restaurants pay premium prices for locally grown, freshly harvested microgreens because the alternative, shipped commercial microgreens, loses quality rapidly after cutting. Chefs want delivery the day of or day before service. That freshness advantage belongs entirely to the local indoor grower. The startup cost, trays, growing medium, seeds, and a grow light, is among the lowest of any agricultural enterprise. The return per square foot is among the highest. Number 5. Lemon verbena, Aloesia citrodora, selling for $30 to $60 per pound dried, with one of the most intense lemon fragrances of any plant in existence, almost entirely absent from domestic commercial supply chains, and sought by craft tea producers, specialty food companies, and artisan cosmetic makers who cannot source enough domestic product. Lemon verbena has one of the most intensely lemon-scented leaves of any plant, far more concentrated than lemon balm, lemon thyme, or any citrus peel. A single leaf rubbed between the fingers produces a fragrance that is immediate and unmistakable. The plant grows as a woody shrub in warm climates and as a container plant that can be brought indoors in colder regions, where it grows vigorously through the winter months with adequate light. The commercial applications are significant across multiple industries. Craft tea producers use dried lemon verbena as a primary ingredient in premium herbal teas that retail for $20 to $30 per ounce. Artisan cosmetic companies use it in body care products marketed for its fragrance and antioxidant properties. Specialty food producers use it in culinary applications from infused sugars to flavored vinegars. Domestic supply of dried lemon verbena is almost entirely absent from commercial channels. Most is imported from Argentina, Morocco, and Spain. A grower with established container plants producing consistent harvests of dried lemon verbena has almost no domestic competition and a market of buyers who have been looking for a reliable domestic source. The plant is vigorous, productive, and requires only standard container growing conditions. Number 6. Go-To Cola, Centella Asiatica, selling for $30 to $60 per pound dried, with simultaneous demand from two entirely separate markets, the nootropic supplement industry and the premium skincare industry, both of which are growing rapidly and both of which rely almost entirely on imported supply. Go-To Cola sits at the intersection of two of the fastest-growing markets in the American wellness industry, the nootropic supplement market, cognitive enhancement, focus, and memory support, has identified Go-To Cola's triterpenoid compounds as among the most studied natural cognitive support substances available. Simultaneously, the premium skincare industry has adopted Go-To Cola extract as a primary ingredient in anti-aging and wound healing formulations, citing its documented ability to stimulate collagen synthesis and improve skin elasticity. These are two completely separate buyer pools, supplement companies and skincare formulators, both competing for the same dried herb, both dependent on imports from India, Sri Lanka, and Southeast Asia, and both willing to pay premium prices for verified domestic supply. Go-To Cola grows as a low ground cover that thrives in humid, moist conditions that are easily created in an indoor growing setup with adequate moisture and indirect light. It spreads readily by runners, meaning an established planting expands its own footprint without additional seeding. A grower positioned as a domestic supplier to either the supplement or skincare industry, or both simultaneously, enters a market where domestic competition is minimal, and buyer demand is growing faster than the current supply chain can accommodate. Number 7. Valeriana officinalis, selling for $20 to $40 per pound dried root, with demand driven by the sleep supplement market, one of the fastest-growing categories in the American wellness industry, and domestic production so limited that most valerian in American supplements is imported from Europe and China. The sleep epidemic is real and measurable. Approximately 70 million Americans report chronic sleep problems. The sleep supplement market has grown dramatically as a result, and valerian root is consistently among the top-selling sleep supplements in the category, appearing in single-ingredient capsules, sleep blends, and herbal teas, marketed for relaxation and sleep support. The valerianic acid and other sesquiterpene compounds in valerian root have clinical research support for reduced sleep latency and improved sleep quality, giving the plant a research credibility that most herbal supplements lack and that drives consumer confidence and repeat purchasing. Despite this demand, domestic production of valerian is minimal. Most of the valerian root in American supplements is imported from Eastern Europe, particularly Poland and Germany, and from China. The plant itself grows readily in container conditions. It is a perennial that returns each year, produces its harvestable root in the second year of growth, and spreads slowly to fill whatever space it is given. The dried root is the commercial product, harvested in fall when the active compound concentrations are highest. A grower positioned as a domestic, traceable source of high-quality valerian root enters a market with consistent demand, minimal domestic competition, and buyers, supplement companies, herbal product manufacturers, and specialty health retailers, actively looking for reliable American supply. Number 8. Catnip, Nepeta cataria, selling for $30 to $60 per pound organic dried, with the primary market being the pet industry worth hundreds of billions of dollars annually, a market where organic premium catnip is in consistent demand, and where domestic craft producers command prices that mass-market imports cannot approach. The catnip market is one of the most reliably overlooked commercial opportunities in indoor herb growing, precisely because most people think of catnip as something cats roll in rather than as a premium agricultural product. The American pet industry generates hundreds of billions of dollars in annual revenue. Within that industry, premium organic catnip, tested, certified, and marketed with verified potency, commands prices of $30 to $60 per pound at wholesale and significantly more in retail packaging. The active compound nepetalactone, which produces the characteristic behavioral response in cats, degrades with age and improper storage, meaning that freshness and proper drying technique directly affect product quality and therefore price. A domestic grower producing certified organic, freshly dried, properly stored catnip for the premium pet market is selling into a market where buyers, specialty pet retailers, craft pet product companies, subscription pet box services actively prefer domestic, traceable, fresh product over imported alternatives. Catnip itself grows prolifically in indoor conditions. It is in the mint family, grows vigorously, and can be harvested multiple times per season before the plant flowers, which is when nipetolactone concentration is highest. One plant becomes many plants quickly through division. The market is consistent, the product is simple to produce, and the buyers are motivated by quality over price. If this list is showing you that plants have more value than most people realize, there is a complete system in the first pinned comment below for anyone who wants to go further than just growing them. The Green Gold Code is a step-by-step business system built around medicinal plants and herbs, how to select them, develop them, and turn that knowledge into a sustainable income. There is a bonus inside that most people do not expect. Link is pinned below. Number 9. Tulsi, Holy Basil, Ocimum tenuiflorum, selling for $20 to $45 per pound dried, riding the adaptogen wave that has made ashwagandha and rhodiola household names. With a diverse market spanning Ayurvedic wellness products, craft teas, and mainstream supplement retail that is still growing rapidly. Tulsi is sacred in the Hindu tradition. It has been cultivated and revered for over 3,000 years for its medicinal properties. In the American wellness market, it has been adopted as part of the adaptogen category, herbs that support the body's stress response system, alongside ashwagandha, rhodiola, and eleuthero. The adaptogen market has grown dramatically as stress management has become a central consumer health concern, and Tulsi occupies a unique position within it. It is both an adaptogen and a culinary herb, with a complex flavor that combines basil with hints of clove and pepper that makes it useful in teas, culinary applications, and wellness products simultaneously. This versatility means multiple buyer pools, wellness product companies, craft tea producers, Ayurvedic product makers, and specialty food producers all compete for the same dried herb. Tulsi grows as an annual in most American climates, but thrives as a perennial in indoor container conditions where temperatures remain stable. It is productive, fragrant, and straightforward to grow and dry. A grower with a consistent indoor Tulsi production has access to buyers across multiple industries without dependence on any single market channel. Number 10. Stevia, Stevia rebaudiana, selling for $20 to $40 per pound dried leaf. The natural zero-calorie sweetener whose commercial market is dominated by industrial extraction processes that produce the refined stevia powder in grocery stores while whole dried leaf. Stevia for the craft food and natural sweetener market has almost no domestic producers. The market for natural sweeteners has expanded dramatically as consumers move away from refined sugar, artificial sweeteners, and high-fructose corn syrup. Stevia has become the primary beneficiary of this shift in the packaged food and beverage industry. But the industrial stevia market, the refined white powder extracted from the leaf, is completely different from the whole leaf stevia market that serves craft food producers, natural health retailers, and homesteaders who want a natural sweetener in its most intact form. Whole dried stevia leaf, which is approximately 40 times sweeter than sugar by weight, is used by artisan food producers, small beverage companies, herbal tea blenders, and natural health practitioners who prefer the whole plant to the refined extract. This market has almost no domestic producers. Most whole-leaf stevia is imported from Paraguay, China, and Brazil. Stevia grows readily as an indoor container plant in bright conditions. It is a perennial in warm climates that can be maintained year-round indoors in northern regions. The plant is productive, low maintenance, and harvested by drying the leaves at their peak before flowering when stevioside concentrations are highest. A domestic producer of whole-dried stevia leaf is entering a market where domestic supply is so limited that buyers contact growers directly. Number 11. Feverfew, the Tanacetum parthenium, selling for $20 to $40 per pound dried, with primary demand from the migraine supplement market where parthanolide, its primary active compound, has clinical research support for migraine prevention, and where domestic supply is minimal compared to the size of the market. Migraine affects approximately 39 million Americans and is one of the most common neurological conditions in the country. The supplement market for migraine prevention, particularly natural alternatives to pharmaceutical preventatives with their side effect profiles, is significant and growing. Feverfew has been used for headache and migraine prevention for centuries and has attracted genuine clinical research attention for its parthanolide content, which appears to inhibit platelet aggregation and modulate inflammatory pathways associated with migraine. Randomized controlled trials have shown feverfew supplementation reduces migraine frequency in some patients, giving it research credibility that drives supplement industry demand. Feverfew grows as a compact perennial that is genuinely well-suited to indoor container growing. It is cold-tolerant, productive, and can be maintained in a relatively small space. The dried aerial parts, leaves, stems, and flowers, are the commercial product, harvested at peak flowering when parthenolide concentrations are highest. Supplement companies, herbal product manufacturers, and natural health retailers represent the primary buyer pool for domestic dried feverfew. The plant's specific clinical application to a common and underserved condition creates consistent market demand that is not subject to the trend cycles that affect more fashion-driven wellness ingredients. Number 12. Lemon Balm, Melissa officinalis, selling for $20 to $40 per pound dried, positioned as the stress epidemic crop of the moment, with applications in sleep support, anxiety management, cognitive function, and digestive health that place it across multiple growing supplement categories simultaneously. Lemon Balm sits at the intersection of several of the largest growth trends in the American supplement and wellness markets simultaneously: stress management, sleep support, cognitive enhancement, and digestive health. Its rosmarinic acid and flavonoid content have attracted research attention across all four categories, and its mild, pleasant flavor makes it one of the most accessible medicinal herbs for consumers who find stronger herbal preparations challenging. The craft tea market, the sleep supplement market, the stress supplement market, and the nootropic market all use lemon balm as an ingredient, creating a diverse buyer pool that provides commercial stability unavailable to herbs with only a single application. Lemon balm grows vigorously in indoor container conditions. It is in the mint family, spreads readily, and can be harvested multiple times through the season. The plant's productivity means that a modest indoor setup produces meaningful quantities of dried herb. The drying and packaging process is straightforward, and the multiple market channels available to a lemon balm producer mean that finding buyers is rarely the challenge. The challenge is producing consistently enough to meet demand. Number 13. Lemon Thyme, Thymus citriadoris, selling for $20 to $35 per pound dried, positioned in the premium culinary herb market where chefs and specialty food producers pay significant premiums for fresh and dried product that the conventional supply chain does not provide in the quality or quantities they need. Lemon thyme occupies a premium position in the culinary herb market that standard thyme does not access. Its citrus fragrance combined with the herbal depth of thyme creates a flavor profile that chefs use specifically. It is not a substitute for regular thyme, but a distinct ingredient with its own culinary identity. Fine dining restaurants, farm-to-table establishments, specialty food producers making infused oils, vinegars, and seasoning blends, and artisan cheesemakers and charcuterie producers all represent buyer segments for premium lemon thyme that the conventional wholesale herb supply chain underserves. Lemon thyme grows as a low compact perennial that is particularly well suited to indoor container growing. It requires good drainage, adequate light, and moderate temperatures, conditions easily maintained indoors. The plant is slow to establish, but once established requires minimal maintenance and produces harvestable material consistently. Fresh bunches of lemon thyme sold directly to restaurants or at farmers markets represent the highest margin application. Dried and packaged product for specialty food retailers represents volume with consistent demand. A grower with established indoor lemon thyme production and direct relationships with chefs and specialty food buyers has a durable commercial position in a market that values quality and consistency over price. Number 14. Aloe vera, Aloe barbadensis Miller, selling for $15 to $30 per pound fresh gel. With one of the most extraordinary propagation rates of any commercial plant, a single plant producing dozens of offshoots over its lifetime, and applications in the skincare, digestive health, and wound care markets that generate billions in retail sales annually. Aloe vera is the indoor plant with perhaps the most favorable ratio of commercial value to growing difficulty. The plant requires almost no care. It is drought-tolerant, thrives in neglect, and actively multiplies itself by producing offshoots called pups that can be separated and established as independent plants. A single aloe plant purchased for $10 at a garden center will produce dozens of independent plants over its lifetime, each capable of producing sellable gel or being sold as a starter plant. The commercial applications are extensive. Fresh aloe gel, The clear inner leaf material is used in premium skincare formulations, digestive health products, and increasingly in the functional beverage market. The skincare industry alone generates billions in aloe-containing product sales annually. Domestic fresh aloe gel is significantly more valuable than imported processed gel because of its freshness and the degradation of active compounds during shipping and processing. Direct relationships with small-batch skincare formulators, natural cosmetic producers, and specialty health food retailers provide commercial channels for indoor aloe growers. The plant's self-propagating nature means that the initial investment in establishing an aloe collection expands automatically over time without additional seed cost. Number 15. Peppermint Mentha piperita, selling for $15 to $30 per pound dried, with triple market demand from the pharmaceutical industry for menthol extraction, the culinary industry for flavoring, and the cosmetic industry for personal care products, making it one of the most reliably commercial herbs in indoor growing. Peppermint is one of the most commercially versatile herbs in existence. Menthol, the primary active compound, is used in pharmaceutical products including cough drops, throat lozenges, topical analgesics, and digestive preparations. The same compound drives demand in the cosmetic industry for personal care products from shampoos to lip balms to muscle relief preparations. And the culinary industry uses peppermint extensively in teas, confectionery, chocolate, baked goods, and beverages. Three completely separate industries competing for the same dried herb creates commercial stability and pricing power that single-market herbs do not have. Peppermint grows prolifically in indoor containers. It is in the mint family, spreads aggressively, and produces abundant harvestable material through multiple cuttings per season. The plant is established from cuttings rather than seed to ensure consistent menthol content, since peppermint grown from seed produces variable chemical profiles. A cutting from a high menthol parent plant produces a high menthol offspring reliably. Dried peppermint sold to specialty tea companies, essential oil distillers, and natural cosmetic formulators represent stable commercial demand from buyers who purchase in meaningful quantities and return consistently. Number 16. Spearmint Mentha spicata, selling for $15 to $25 per pound dried, the more widely used culinary mint with its characteristic carvone-based flavor. Growing even more vigorously than peppermint in indoor conditions and serving culinary, cosmetic, and functional food markets with consistent demand. Spearmint is the mint most commonly used in culinary applications. The mint in mojitos, Middle Eastern cuisine, Indian chutneys, and the majority of commercial mint teas is spearmint rather than peppermint. Its carvone-based flavor is gentler and more broadly palatable than the intense menthol of peppermint, making it the preferred choice for food applications where mint flavor is desired without overwhelming heat. As a commercial crop, spearmint shares peppermint's multi-market demand profile across culinary, cosmetic, and functional food categories, while benefiting from even higher culinary market demand. Indoor spearmint growing is among the most straightforward in this entire list. The plant grows aggressively in containers, produces harvestable material quickly after establishment, and can be cut back repeatedly through the season to maintain fresh growth and consistent quality. Direct-to-restaurant relationships, farmers market sales of fresh bunches, and dried supply to specialty tea producers represent the primary commercial channels. The plant's vigor means that a small indoor setup produces quantities sufficient for meaningful commercial activity. Number 17. Basil Ocimum basilicum, selling for $15 to $25 per pound fresh at specialty markets, with the premium culinary herb market willing to pay significant premiums for varieties. Thai basil, Genovese, purple basil, lemon basil, that conventional grocery supply chains do not carry in reliable quantities or quality. Standard sweet basil is the most consumed fresh herb in America, but the commercial opportunity for the indoor basil grower is not in competing with the grocery store basil in plastic clamshells. It is in the specialty varieties that the conventional supply chain does not serve reliably. Thai basil, with its anise-like flavor essential to Southeast Asian cuisine, is perpetually undersupplied at the restaurant level. Genovese basil in large leaf form for authentic pesto production commands premium prices from Italian restaurants and specialty food producers. Purple basil, lemon basil, and cinnamon basil represent differentiated products for chefs building distinctive flavor profiles. These specialty varieties are almost never available through conventional wholesale channels in the quality and freshness that serious culinary operators want. Indoor basil growing, under consistent grow light conditions that allow year-round production regardless of outdoor season, provides something that outdoor growing cannot: fresh basil in January. In climates with cold winters, a local indoor basil grower becomes the only source of genuinely fresh product during the months when outdoor herb growing is impossible. That seasonal exclusivity, combined with variety differentiation, creates a commercial position that conventional competitors cannot occupy. Number 18. Oregano. Origanum vulgar and related species, selling for $15 to $25 per pound dried, with the Greek and Turkish varieties commanding premium prices for their significantly higher essential oil content, and with applications spanning pharmaceutical antimicrobial research, culinary markets, and cosmetic preservation. Oregano occupies a position in the commercial herb market that its ubiquity in Italian cooking tends to obscure. The high carvacrol varieties, particularly Greek oregano and Turkish oregano, have attracted significant research and commercial interest for their antimicrobial properties. Carvacrol and thymol, the primary volatile compounds in high-potency oregano, have documented broad-spectrum antimicrobial activity and are used in natural food preservation, animal health products, and increasingly in natural personal care formulations as preservative alternatives. This pharmaceutical and functional application market is entirely separate from the culinary market and commands significantly higher prices for verified high carvacrol content. Oregano grows as a perennial that is well suited to indoor container production. It requires good drainage, adequate light, and tolerates the drier indoor air that challenges other herbs. Established plants require minimal maintenance and produce harvestable material through multiple cuttings. The key commercial differentiation is variety and carvacrol content. A grower producing verified high carvacrol Greek oregano has a product that the mass market dried oregano in grocery stores cannot replicate, and that buyers in pharmaceutical, functional food, and premium culinary markets will actively seek. Number 19. Rosemary, Salvia rosmarinus, selling for $15 to $25 per pound dried. A perennial that, once established, requires minimal input, produces harvestable material year-round in indoor conditions, and serves culinary, cosmetic, and emerging nootropic markets with consistent demand. Rosemary is one of the most commercially durable herbs in the indoor growing portfolio because its demand is stable across multiple market channels simultaneously, and because the plant, once established, requires remarkably little attention. As a culinary herb, rosemary has consistent wholesale and retail demand year-round, with a premium placed on fresh product from local growers. As a cosmetic ingredient, rosemary extract is used extensively as a natural antioxidant preservative and in hair care products marketed for scalp health and hair growth support. As a nootropic, research on rosemary's 1,8 cineol content and its documented effects on memory and cognitive performance has begun attracting supplement market attention. A single established rosemary plant in a large container can produce harvestable material continuously for years. The plant grows slowly initially but becomes increasingly productive as the woody structure develops. Direct relationships with restaurants for fresh herb supply, with specialty food producers for dried culinary rosemary, and with cosmetic formulators for dried herb or infused oil represent three stable commercial channels from the same plant with minimal additional input. Number 20. Chives, Allium schoenoprasum, the harvest that never stops. From the plant that never needs replacing, producing fresh harvestable material every 10 days indefinitely, earning its place as the last plant on this list because it represents a principle that applies to every plant before it. The most profitable growing operation is not the one with the most plants. It is the one that harvests the most consistently from what it already has. Chives are a perennial. You establish them once and they return every year without replanting, without reseeding, without any particular attention beyond basic container care. Cut them to within an inch of the soil and they regrow within 10 days. Cut again, and again. The plant that was cut 20 times this season is the same plant that will come back next spring more vigorous than the year before. As a commercial product, fresh chives serve restaurant and farmers market buyers who want consistent weekly supply. Exactly what a cut-and-come-again perennial in a controlled indoor environment provides. A dedicated indoor chive planting managed for continuous harvest can supply the fresh chive needs of multiple restaurant accounts simultaneously from a footprint smaller than most coffee tables. The economics are straightforward. Low input cost, zero replacement cost, consistent weekly yield, and buyers who value reliability over price. Chives close this list not because they are the most exotic or the most expensive crop, they are neither, but because they embody the principle that makes any plant commercially viable: consistency. A grower who harvests chives reliably every week, delivers on time, and maintains quality earns something that no price can immediately buy: a buyer who never looks elsewhere. That relationship, multiplied across multiple herbs and multiple buyers, is what a plant-based income actually looks like in practice. 20 indoor plants, all of them growable in containers and spare bedrooms and garages and greenhouses, on windowsills and under grow lights. All of them with documented market demand and documented price points. All of them representing supply gaps that domestic producers are not currently filling. The gap between what the American market wants and what American growers are producing is not a small gap. It is the space where an indoor growing operation becomes a commercial enterprise. The plants are available. The markets are there. The knowledge of which plants to grow, which markets to serve, and how to build relationships that generate consistent income is what separates a hobby from a business. That knowledge is more accessible than most people realize. Hit the like button if this changed how you see the plants already in your home. Drop a comment and tell me which plant you are starting with. Subscribe and ring the bell. I will see you in the next one.